I would bet you that if you ask them, they'd say, "Oh, I don't dream. I don't remember my dreams."
Right. That
It's a
part,
practice.
yeah, that
You're gonna
part
practice
is
it.
like scientifically proven though. The fact that that everyone has that vibration and that we are all on different sort of vibrational planes or fields. I mean,
Hmm.
that part is not arguable. That's undeniable. That's science. So I think it factors into it, these
I
vibrational
literally think that
readings
because
and
I'm thinking
these,
back
yeah,
to people who I've had in my life who say, "Oh, I don't remember my dreams," and they are people that I'm always like, I either I get a bad vibe or I
yeah,
know that their soul is young, and it's like I think they're cute. Like my husband, he's like he doesn't believe in this crap, but
yeah,
he loves to support me in his own way.
yeah,
So he'll feed into my quirkiness
yeah,
without making fun of me.
yeah.
And it's very cute. And sometimes he gets very interested in it, you could tell, but other times he's kind of just like rolling his eyes. But he's like, "What about my soul?" And I said, "Oh, sweetheart." And I like held his hands and I was like, "You are so, so, so young." I was like, "You are so young. This might be your first time here. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "But it makes sense that I'm your wife
Yeah.
because you weren't gonna fucking make it, man."
Just like speaking of like the dramatics of things, like I remember my first nightmare and it's never been reoccurring, but it has always stuck with
Stayed.
me. Yes, through my entire life. And I was, let me see, it was prior to my parents' divorce because we were in the old house. So I must have been like 7 or 8, I would guess. And I had stayed home from school and I was sleeping on the couch because I was sick. So, but it was nighttime. It wasn't like a daytime nap. It was regular sleep cycle at night. And I remember being woken up. I woke myself up because I was
Good
sobbing.
story.
Yeah. Get your blankie and
Good
popcorn,
story.
kid. I remember waking myself up, like jolting, because I was sobbing so hysterically that I woke myself up. And like at the same time, my mom was coming out of her bedroom because she heard me like uncontrollably sobbing.
So you were sobbing
And
out loud
yes,
while
out
you were
loud,
asleep.
full tears, sobbing. Yes. When I woke up, I was still like semi dreamland because what she was saying to me now I picture as part of the dream. Does that make sense? Like I wasn't fully like conscious yet.
Right.
So I remember it kind of all together. So my mom was pulling out of our driveway at the house, and this was the actual nightmare. And she gets T-boned by a car who was speeding down our street. And she gets expelled from the car, and I was on the porch like waving goodbye to her as she's like leaving for work or wherever she was going. So I run off the front porch and go to try to like tend to her or save her or kiss her or whatever I was going to do. This is where like the line between dream and reality is blurred because this is sort of the part where I wake up. But in my dream, it's me holding her, saying goodbye to her as she dies. But the reality of it was her holding me to wake me up and say, everything's okay. You're just having a bad dream. So that intensified it so deeply to the point where like I felt my mom's touch, like physical
Oof.
touch, and
You probably smelt her too.
felt the tears on my face and smelled her and felt
Mm-mm.
her kissing me as in real life, her comforting me because I was having a nightmare, but it being like this picture of her physically dying in my arm, in my arms, and her like me saying goodbye to her. And I mean, it's still just horrific, of course. I've never even told her this story because I don't even like to talk about it because it's too much. But when we
What are we
decided on,
doing to ourselves?
I know, but I just decided like when we decided on Dreamland, I was like, it's too like powerful enough not to share. And like, I'm sure that people can relate to like that visceral reality of dreams sometimes that you have where it is just so real and like undeniable. I mean, I agree. And as you were saying, like the fact that like your reality is a connection to somebody's worst nightmare, I believe that. Like, I think that that's probably true and that somebody was probably experiencing that in real life. It's like undeniable.
How old were you?
I was like 7, 8.
What 7-year-old knows what it looks like to see somebody ejected from a car? What 7-year-old knows what that sounds like, looks like, how that would make you feel, how it would look?
Yeah. Unless you've seen it.
Unless you've actually are experiencing it.
Right.
How the fuck would a 7-year-old little boy?
Nope. Impossible.
It just
Right.
doesn't make sense. You said, oh, say the movies and you see cars.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about what 7-year-old
That's
knows what it's like to see their own mother be ejected from a car. They don't,
right.
because it's never happened. So you don't know how to put those visuals together. Like, you shouldn't know how.
The feeling too. The feeling. Oh my God.
I know what you're talking about. It's when I have to save my sisters.
Oh, yeah.
I know that feeling.
It's like, this has to be what somebody who actually witnesses that feels, because it is horrific.
32 years later?
32 years later.
You're still dealing with it.
Still as real as that night.
How many more clues do we need to like stamp my approval on this theory?
This is actually a qualified opinion, damn it.
It's a totally unqualified opinion because I have no idea about the brain. I know the spiritual side.
That's true.
From what I'm gathering from other people's higher powers, it's them. When I was like talking to yours.
Yes.
How did I know all that stuff? If I'm talking to somebody else and not you, I'm getting a message from, it must be a part of you because you experienced it.
Has to be.
That has to apply in dreams. That has to be the explanation. There's like a central hub where everything gets kind of shared. Please go watch Sensei and then watch the whole thing tonight. And then come back. It's so good.
Hold, please. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it took me like 2 days because I was so obsessed with it. It was like, I watched it at the time where like I came out.
Yeah.
And so I was like super into learning about a community that I was kind of new in.
Yeah, that you were like
I wasn't
newly
new like
identified
in my brain.
Yeah.
I always knew, but outwardly, I would never like want to be at home watching some 2 chicks get it on and somebody walk in on it.
Right.
Because then I would be outed and it wouldn't be my decision. So I never got to I never watched anything like that. So I was all over that. And plus I love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I am years later. Thank God I watched that, because then I had the idea that this has to be what it's kind of similar to, because it just doesn't make sense that it felt so bizarre. I stopped saying I read an article. And
Can we all just agree? We all know that it's goddamn social media. We don't read.
I read an article
but it's not. Yeah.
I do. You know what I read? Reddit.
Yeah. Good point.
I saw a TikTok about this person giving their opinion, just like we are, unqualified as well. Just an average Joe that kind of like loves to dabble in the supernatch. And they were saying how if you having a dream that you died, or if you are going through, start over. If you're going through a tragedy where you survived, let's use the example of that horrible tragedy that happened. Yeah. You actually did die in that moment and you're like switch timelines. When it's impossible for the person to survive, and they do, it's because like they weren't supposed to, that wasn't supposed to happen in this dimension. It's supposed to happen somewhere else. And like something happened.
Right.
That you survived. It's almost like a glitch or something. So the universe has to find a way to make you survive, and you have to, for whatever reason, for this path that you're on. Sometimes I have dreams that are so vivid. I don't like to give them any attention because I so believe in like it being your own fault for manifestation by accident of negative things. So like I see my son drowning all the time.
but we can't even give it any attention.
Face down,
Bec-
dead.
Wow.
My son. Like, I don't even like to talk about it because it makes me,
Yeah,
because it's
of
so
course
real.
not.
But I always tell myself, I'm like, it's not in this timeline. I can't, because I wouldn't be able to handle it. So it's not going to happen.
Right. I will say, and I agree with you as far as reoccurring dreams about fish means you're going to get money. And
Get
that's all
fucked.
bullshit, with the exception of, listen, I've had a recurring dream for as long as I can remember about being able to fly and being able to float. And in today's research,
Mhm.
that means freedom from social norms and freedom from restraints. And as an example, it was coming out. And I mean, there was always this.
When things are so broad like that, Nate, you can
Yeah,
find
I
the
know, but just
definition.
let
Because
me
do you want me
have
to tell you
this.
what's actually happening?
Just
You're
let me
actually
have this.
fine. You're
Just let
actually
me have
fine.
this one.
You're actually fine. You're
I've
actually fine.
always dreamt of the day that I would be out and open and not have to like hide who I was, of course, because I was in the closet forever.
How long before you came out?
I came out definitely in like waves to my parents, and like when I was fully out, I was in my mid-20s.
Mm.
So there was still a bit of secrecy. So I was still always like thinking and daydreaming about the day that I wouldn't have to hide this part of who I am, thus floating above all of you, flying, if you will. But no, I'm just fucking with you. But I have always had this reoccurring dream that I fly and float.
Because
And
you can. I think that means that you are well beyond, like if there is like an earth school,
yeah.
your soul is like pretty high up there.
Mm,
It's like it's like a skill that you learn.
yeah.
I will tell you that. I think that another reason why you were brought into my life is because I have a phobia of super tall people.
Great. I guess
Let
we're
me
done here.
reword that. Let me reword that because it's
Yeah.
not a phobia. It's a social anxiety. It's just
Okay.
social anxiety because I feel like we're not the same like species.
Okay.
I feel insignificant and like I could get squished
I was just gonna say, like, what?
like a
Step
bug.
on
Like
you?
I feel like
Yeah.
an ant must feel when a human's like, fucking ants.
Right.
Fucking get them out of here.
Oh,
Flick.
shit. Marker. That's a wrap on episode 1 of Unqualified Opinions with Chelsea and Nate.
Send us your sitch and we'll give you the opins.